how long I was going to post videos about aviation. I said that to myself, it would depend on whether or not you watch. Man, you've been watching, and I thank you for that. I really thank you. I really thank you from the bottom of my heart. I thank you for watching, and I will keep posting videos about aviation. I think my most recent videos on the subject was I thought about two pioneers in the aviation industry, the Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur. So that's aviation history. But I'm not going to do only. I'm not going to talk only about history. We'll also talk about the technical side of the industry, also the safety, the legal side, the safety side of the industry. Today, however, I'm going to talk about the technical side of the industry of aviation. I have received quite a few of messages in my inbox asking me aviation related questions, and I really appreciate that. I really appreciate it, because that shows me that you've been following me, and then you've been you have been paying attention to my videos, and I really thank you. I thank you for that. And then please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Click the notifications bell, so we can have that kind of interactions in the future more often. So yeah, I received quite a few of questions in my inbox, and one of them is, what makes an airplane fly? Well, there are various factors involved in the operation of an airplane in the air. But I can tell you, the air itself is of utmost importance in the operation and the behavior of an aircraft. There must be air for an aircraft, for an airplane to function, for an aircraft to fly, because the air actually is the space is the natural environment of an aircraft per se, of an airplane. But one thing that you need to remember is that the aircraft is heavier than the air. So that explains why there are numerous factors involved in keeping the aircraft in the air and flying. It is not one thing. It is not just one particular thing that that makes an aircraft that that makes an aircraft fly in the air. So since you've been watching, I will be posting several videos on the subject, and together we will go through some very important elements of flight theory and aerodynamics, one step at a time. We are not going to rush it. We're going to do it together, one step at a time, in order to understand how can a heavier than air machine actually flies in the air. Alright, we will do that. Today, to start, let us see some important factors that influence the relationships among the air, the airplane flying in it, the airplane flying in it, and the ground. When by the ground, I mean the earth. First, one thing that we all know: the air is a fluid. The air is a fluid that flows. Okay. A river flows, right? The air also flows, and the aircraft, as you know, as you can see, is a solid. So that fact could actually create an odd or even an impossible relationship between the two. But flight theory and aerodynamics resolved that issue. Okay? So since I received quite a few of aviation related questions in my inbox, there's some stuff I need to talk about. I am going to do it in forms, in terms of questions. We're going to ask ourselves some questions, and then we're going to attempt to answer them. Okay, so the first one: how do aircraft measure speed in the air when they fly? You know, how do they measure the speed in the air? Well, aircraft measure speed in the air in knots. That's K-N-O-T-S, knots, nautical miles per hour, or in Mach number. The Mach number is the relationship of true airspeed to the speed of sound. Okay, so right there we see we can draw some questions from the answer that I just gave you. Okay, and what is 1 knot in mile per hour? Well, one knot in a mile per hour is approximately one point is approximately 1.15 miles per hour. Okay, so like once again, my fans and friends, the speed of the aircraft in the air is measured either in knots, nautical miles per hour, or in Mach number. Like I said, the Mach number is the relationship, not the relationship. Well, yeah, that's a different word, but but let me specifically say it is the ratio of true airspeed to the speed of sound. Okay, so that's the way the aircraft measure speed in the air. So a Mach number, if a Mach number is the ratio, is the proportion, is the percentage of true airspeed to the speed of sound. In this case, what is the value of the speed of sound? Well, you know that the speed of sound is the distance traveled in time by a sound wave. Okay, so the speed of sound in the air is about, I would say, is about 343 meters per second, 1,235 kilometers per hour, 1,125 feet per second, 767 mile per hour, and 667 knots. Okay, that's the speed, that's the value of the speed of sound, okay, which is used in proportion to the in proportion to find in proportion to the true airspeed, okay, to give you the Mach number. Okay, so okay, now we talked about true airspeed. What is one question we can ask? What is true airspeed of an airplane? What is the true airspeed of an airplane? Okay, the airplane is flying in the air. So just like when you drive your car, you know, you got a speed. Okay, so you probably maybe you drive 50 miles per hour, 60 miles per hour, whatever the speed you're using. Hopefully you're following the traffic, the traffic rules and regulations regarding, speed limits. Hopefully you're driving safely. So when an aircraft, the speed of an air, the true airspeed of an aircraft is actually its speed, you know, in the air. It is flying in. You know, it is, if the aircraft is flying 200 knots, okay, in the air, so its true airspeed is 200 knots. That's it. Okay, so that true airspeed is actually the speed of the aircraft in relation to the air it is flying in. This is the speed. This is the speed. This is the speed that the pilots use to make sure that they have enough air around the aircraft, especially around the wings, for takeoff and for the continuation of the flight. So for the aircraft to fly, you know, there must be for the aircraft to fly, to take off and fly, there has to be enough air surrounding the aircraft, okay, in order to take off and fly, okay. So, and the speed of the aircraft, you know, in the air has a lot to do, okay, with the amount of air that the aircraft is surrounded with in order to make the flying possible. So in that case, okay, well, while I'm at it, let me say that again. While I am at it, let me tell you about the other side of the coin. So the other side of the coin I'm talking about is another speed of the aircraft. Okay, it is called the ground speed of the aircraft. That's the speed of the aircraft flying in the air in relation to the ground. Okay, so what is the difference between the true airspeed and the ground speed of the aircraft? Well, as I told you, the true airspeed, you know, is the speed that the pilots use to make sure that there's enough air flowing around the machine, especially the wings, on takeoff. But in simple terms, I can tell you that the ground speed is what really it is what determines how fast and how slow you get to your destination when you fly in an aircraft. Okay, And the relation of the airspeed of the true airspeed of the aircraft, which you can just call airspeed, and between the relationship between the true airspeed and the ground speed is very important. Okay, so if the aircraft is flying, you know, if the speed of the aircraft is 200 knots, there's a chance that you might be late to get to your destination, or you might get to your destination a little faster. And that is because of the ground speed of the aircraft. The ground speed of the aircraft is affected. Actually, I would say is the result of the direction of the wind. Okay. While the aircraft is flying at its true airspeed, if the wind is, is flowing behind the aircraft, which is the tail, and pushing the aircraft a little faster, that's a tailwind. So now, even though the aircraft is still maintaining its true airspeed, but the aircraft goes faster anyway by if you knots, because the tailwind push it, a little faster than it is actually flying. On the other hand, if there's a wind, if the wind is going in the opposite direction, in front of the nose of the aircraft, what's going to happen? The wind is going to kind of push it back a little bit. That's the headwind. So you might get to your destination as a to your destination a little later than you were supposed to, because of the headwind that pushed the aircraft, that slows down the aircraft, even though it is still flying at its true airspeed, but the wind push it back a little bit, so you might not get to your destination on time because of that. On the other hand, if you have tailwind, pushing it, then you get to your destination faster than you were supposed to. That's the ground speed of the aircraft. So you got the true airspeed, which is, I would say, remains constant, and then you got the ground speed, which is created by the tailwind. Push the aircraft a little, push the aircraft forward, by a few knots, or the headwind, which is push it back by a few knots. That's the difference between the true airspeed and the ground speed of an airplane flying in the air. Did you get it? You did. I think you did. Another question. Yeah. So we just answered. We answered what is the what is the true airspeed of an aircraft. We also answered what is the ground what is the ground speed of an airplane. Now let's ask ourselves another question. What is force? Because you know, when the aircraft is flying, there are forces, you know, that are you know, affecting the way it flies. You know, you got forces acting on it. You know, so what is force? Well, I would define force as either a push or a pull on a body to change its motion. Okay? You push something, you pull something, okay? You create force. Alright? So that's force. An aircraft flying in the air is exposed to forces. Okay? Different kinds of forces. So those are adverse, you know, adverse factors that flight theory and aerodynamics, you know, take care of when it comes to flying. Okay, another question we can ask ourselves. What is mass? Okay, mass is a measure of the amount of materials that make up a body. Okay, the aircraft is a mass. All the parts, everything, all the different equipment, you know, the landing gears, the fuselage, everything, every single, even in a screw, a nut, that make up the aircraft, okay, constitute the aircraft mass. Okay, not to be confused with the aircraft weight. But there's a difference between weight and mass. The mass is actually the body of the aircraft, what it is made of. Its weight is different. The weight is, let's say the aircraft is in the air, and then when the aircraft is in the air, it is subjected to the force of gravity, acceleration of gravity. When the effect of gravity on the aircraft in the air is weight. So you see, do you see the difference between weight and mass? Okay, the weight is the gravitational, I would say, yeah, is the gravitational attraction, okay, of the earth, okay, to the mass in the air. Okay, that's force that that the force that the gravity creates to pull the aircraft, that's the weight. But the body of the aircraft itself, that's the mass. You see, mass. So in one question, we answer two questions: the difference between mass and weight. Did you get it? Yes, you did. Yes, I got it. So you got it. All right. So another question we can ask ourselves. Oh, let me say something else. You know, the weight, the mass, the mass may not change. Okay? The mass of an aircraft may not change. It may remain constant. But its weight, okay, let me put it this way. The mass of a body, such as an aircraft, may not vary according, actually, the mass of an aircraft, I'm gonna take the liberty to say that the mass of an aircraft is not going to change in relation to position. The mass will remain as is. What will change depending on the position in the air is the weight. Okay, the weight of the body, the weight of the aircraft, the weight of the body, the weight will vary depending where the body, the mass, the aircraft is in the air. Okay. Did you get it? Yes, you did. I did. The mass will not change with position in the air. The weight of the body, the weight of the aircraft will change with positions in the air. You got it? Okay. All right. Maybe we can go through a couple of questions before we finish here. Before we finish for today. Do you know there are two quantities? Talking about quantities, okay? We have scalar quantity and vector quantity. Scalar quantities and vector quantities. What is a scalar quantity? Simple. A scalar quantity is a quantity that has size or magnitude only. No orientation, no direction, just size. That's a scalar quantity. Okay. A vector quantity, on the other hand, has both size or magnitude and orientation and direction. Example, let me give you some example of scalar quantity. Time. is a scalar quantity. Mass is a scalar quantity. Temperature is a scalar quantity because all they have is size or magnitude, no direction, no orientation. Example of vector quantities: velocity, force. Okay, why? Because they have size, and also they have magnitude. No, they have size and magnitude. They also have orientation. They also have direction. Force, you push. Okay, direction. There's movement. Okay, there's orientation. Velocity, speed, and time. Speed and time, right? Velocity. Well, velocity is actually change of speed in time. So there's orientation. Okay, that's a vector. Those are vector quantities: velocity, force. Let me see if I can find another one now. Well, acceleration. Okay, that's a vector quantity because acceleration has size and direction. All right, so that's the difference between a scalar quantity and a vector quantity. All right. So one last questions before we finish. Okay, we have scalar quantities and vector quantities. Okay, can we add or subtract those quantities? Yes, we can. Scalar quantities can be added very easily because those are simple arithmetic. Okay, those are simple everyday arithmetic. Okay, 2 plus 1. Okay, scalar addition. 4 minus 2, scalar subtraction. That's easy. That's regular arithmetic. But vector quantities are a little more complicated because now remember, vector quantities, they are actually represented by errors. Okay, you got an error. Okay, it's an error, and the size of the error represents the length. The length of the error represents the size of the quantity, its magnitude. Okay, but the orientation of the error gives us represents the directional property of the vector quantities. Okay, you got. Can you add vector quantities? Yes, you can. You could, instead of adding numbers just like you do with scalar quantities, for the vector quantities you add errors. But remember, the errors they have size. The length of the errors, represent they represent the sizes and the and the orientations where the arrow is where an arrow is pointing. That's the directional property of the vector quantity. Yes, you can add scalar quantities, simple number, simple arithmetic, arithmetic, and you can also add vectors, quantities. You can add the errors of vector quantities. Okay, so I guess that's it for today. Once again, thank you for watching my aviation YouTube videos. I didn't know if I was going to continue to post them, because I didn't know if you were going to find time to really watch them. But it seems to me that you are watching, and then that give me motivation to really continue to post them. Excuse me. Then I will continue to do so, because as the flying public, it is good sometimes to know something about what's going on in the industry. If you, let's say you're flying in an aircraft, and you're flying in an aircraft, and you're sitting either in the back or of the aircraft, or you're sitting by the emergency exits, and then when the aircraft is on approach, and the aircraft is in descent mode, all that stuff, and then there's a lot of noises you're going to hear outside. You're going, and you probably, some of you probably get nervous. You probably get a little scared because of those noises, and those noises you hear in those situations. Those are normal noises that the aircraft make at certain times, at certain at certain phases in the flight. So that's why that's the reason why, if you know something about how aircraft behave in the air, so when you fly and you hear noises like that, you're not gonna be afraid. Oh, it's good to know a few things. One thing, it's good to know, one thing or two about aviation as the flying public, because you are part of the industry. You are a stakeholder of the industry. So next time we will cover, I'm not going to say I will cover, because we're doing this together. We will cover the relationships among mass, motion, acceleration, and more. Okay, so that will give us an opportunity to go over the Newton's laws, three of them. So in the meantime, have a good day, and stay safe, and fly safely. Bye.